Go.
Here's a GTC C2 DV2 valve that we're going to change out the internals on. Firstly, here's a replacement kit that we're going to follow these instructions here on changing out these parts here. We've got a torque wrench, 50 foot-pounds, a 13/16 socket, a 3/32 Allen wrench, a 1/8 inch Allen wrench, some clean room swabs. First thing we're going to do,
And some normal Krytox.
oh yeah, we have Krytox for this step here, right here when we have to coat the bottoms. By the way, the Krytox can be a vacuum grease or anything that's high temperature rated. First step is we're going to take off the actuator housing. Four screws. There's the housing with the screws, the piston inside. There's the piston. Next, we're going to take off the bonnet nut assembly or cartridge assembly. It's on top. Oh, that is in the right position. Oh, it's already pre-loose. Cartridge assembly, it's the same as that right there. We're not going to use that anymore. We've got a new one here. But we also want to change out the internal parts. We've got the diaphragm plate we're going to reuse. The diaphragm we're going to replace. And we got the seat assembly. Here's the picture. This one seems to be stuck in. Sometimes they do that. So if you do run across this, we'll send this toolkit too. This basically is a seat removal tool. Push that in the center of the seat. Got a little pry lever. Pops the seat assembly out of there. Like I said, it doesn't happen in all cases, just some cases. If that does happen, you'll need this tool. Next, we want to make sure it's clean on the inside. We've got a swab. We want to clean the ledge where the diaphragm sits on. Take a clean room swab and just make sure that there's no particles or anything sitting on that ledge. Nice and clean. And then make sure it's no contaminants are in there. Next, we'll open up our kit. Diaphragm, cartridge assembly, new seat assembly. We'll take the new seat assembly. You got it here. So this is the top up here. These gloves are not friendly. You could probably see in the picture the direction on how this thing goes in. So make sure you put it in the right orientation, the right direction. Drop it down in there. I like to use the back side of my clean room swab just to center it. Now we're going to get the diaphragms, the diaphragm assembly. And you make sure the diaphragm this side here, which is the wetted surface, is clean. That's the tack welded side. That's outside. This is inside. Sometimes if there's contaminant on there, IPA, wipe it down good. Yeah, I got the wrong gloves on to be doing this, but
there's the inside.
Yep.
The down, it goes down, then turn it over.
That's the top.
That's the upside.
So drop it in.
I'm going to tell them about in the future that we're going to have the, so you should be able to see the weld on the top. In the
it'll
future,
be a different.
it's going to be a different weld.
Yeah, it'll be a E-beam weld instead of a TIG. Okay, now we've got if we follow the instructions here, the seat, diaphragm plate. Now the diaphragm plate, you've got to put it in that direction there because this is a radius that matches the diaphragm. So make sure that goes in and drop it in. Okay, wait a second. Is everything in there straight? Okay. Now we get the bonnet assembly or bonnet cartridge. Now here, because since we've tack welded the diaphragms, we don't want to transfer any torque onto the diaphragm. So what we do is we put it. This is just Krytox, but again, this could be vacuum grease or something that's high temperature rated.
On the bottom, the difference between the old and new.
Oh, the older version doesn't have a relief hole that clears the weld bead or the tack weld. So what we do is we just put a couple little dabs there, and then also on this surface, if you show right here, right there and right there. This is so we minimize any chance of transferring torque to the diaphragm cap. Screw that down. Torque it to 50 foot-pounds. Take it off. Now the next step is to adjust this serpentine disc right there. You see that? It spins. We want that tighter so it's not so loose, but not too tight where it won't spin.
Or it starts to bow up.
Right. Well, this one won't bow up. That's the DB5. This, basically, it's too tight. See, that thing won't move. So back it off. Almost. There we go. So you can still spin, you can still rotate, but it's not clamped down. So the instructions are on the sheet on how to adjust it. Anyways, so once you've got that, take the actuator, put it in the orientation you want, tighten down the Allen screws or the Allen head screws. Yeah, make sure the piston is inside. But normally, if you follow this procedure, here I'll show you. There's the piston right there. So we just loosen put the screws down, not tight, just put them down loose so that everything goes together nicely and squares up. And then go ahead and basically it calls out for 10 inch-pounds, but what you can do is just put a little torque approximately 10-inch bounds here. And that completes the valve. The next thing you do is leak test it, the seat and also the diaphragm. Here's the leak check ports. Normally you pull a vacuum on the outlet and you spray helium into here, and that'll tell you if you've got a diaphragm leak or not. And then if you spray into the inlet of the valve, it'll tell you across the seat leak. But that's it. That's how the valve is built.